Hello guys, Mathemossai here and welcome to the conclusion of my 30-day switch to Android. Now technically, due to my college work getting in the way and my pure desire just to work on animations, I have been using Android for longer than a month. Now as a side note before we start, I want to say if you see me looking down from the camera for the majority of this video, it's because I am reading the teleprompter because I have actually scripted this so we can get through this as smoothly as possible without me repeating myself. So again, if I'm looking down, this is why. So here is my experience from using Android 6 on the Samsung Galaxy J5. First impressions were quite good and I generally was impressed by how easy it was to change things like the ringtone and background on Android, and in some cases it was easier than iOS. However, during this phase there was a few things that did annoy me. The first thing is that I was unable to uninstall the bloatware that Samsung ships on the J5, and I could only deactivate them and remove them from the home screen. Now technically I know I could root the phone and remove it that way, but honestly for the trial period it seemed like much more work than what I could be bothered with. Another love-hate thing I bumped into was the hate portion is that the pure confusion I had from changing my text on. I generally thought I might have to do some complicated thing that was way more effort than what I could be bothered with. The love portion is discovering a genuinely useful app for customizing Android called Zedge. I was able to find tones for my text and email that is identical to what I have on my iPhone, so you know, that was a cool find. When it came to everyday use, however, that's when things got a tad bumpier, and I don't know if these issues to do with the J5 or Android 6. The first thing that annoyed me during this experience is how the battery died when there was still 11% on it. This makes no sense to me, and because there were times where I thought there was enough charge to get me home and get it on charge, and then it suddenly dies and I naturally can't turn it on again. One point I actually missed a phone call from mom because of this, and to this day it still annoys me. I also believe the last time it did this it co-opted the Tumblr app to a funny state where I still get notifications from it, but whenever I try to launch it it says the app isn't installed. So that's the thing. I did later discover there was a battery saver mode along with some other settings I could not find in the settings app. But again, this feels counterintuitive and automatically go into battery saver mode when it reaches a threshold like my iPhone, or at least notify you to do so. Another problem I immediately faced was the text messages that mom sent to me I wasn't receiving on the J5. I later discovered through troubleshooting that it was still being sent to my iMessage account instead of an SMS, and like a quick switch fixed this right up. Again, this feels counterintuitive, and this should have switched automatically when my SIM detected it was in an Android phone and not in an iOS phone. My experience wasn't all gloom and doom, however. I like how the notifications stay on the home screen even if you unlock it and lock it again. This feels really convenient if you want to quickly refer back to notifications in a hurry without scavenging through the corresponding app finding said notification. Additionally, I love how my emails get grouped in a lock screen. Honestly, this makes the overall experience feels less cluttered, which I do quite appreciate, especially with the amount of rubbish that gets through my spam filter for whatever reason. I also like how you can have multiple home screens for a specific purpose. This multi-desktop view again makes Android feel less cluttered. For me, I have one that is the default first desktop, which has the Discord app pinned to the top as well. With the second desktop has more my social media stuff as well as miscellaneous usual resources, and finally the third being the leftover of apps I did deactivate that I might need in the future but not often enough to justify being in the first or second desktops. Another noteworthy thing I would like to touch upon is that the phone app has a convenient thing in it where if you start typing a phone number, the app suggests to you the phone numbers you made in the past if it begins with the same digit, which I thought was really quite neat. While using the J5, I did take an obscene amount of food pictures on my Instagram using the back camera, as is tradition. The camera was funny at the best of times, where the pictures I took were really crisp and nice looking, and then where other times it was worse than my iPhone, where it would not focus on what I wanted to and cause a blurry image, even when I was as still as humanly possible. So this is a real annoyance I had. This is also specific to the J5, but I was disappointed with the speaker that you get on this phone. It's really tinny and you really cannot make out what people are saying in a noisy environment, which I feel my iPhone is better at. Again, this is specific to the 2015 J5 and does not reflect all Android phones. As a side experiment, I also wanted to see if I could use a bigger screen to my iPhone 5S. With the J5 being the same size as an iPhone 7, this gave me a fantastic opportunity to see if I could use this day to day, or I would still consider it too big for a phone. I'll be honest here, I'm truly surprised, but I do like the bigger screen. I thought it was a perfect size for it. Kind of preferred over the Retina display on my iPhone 5S. Overall, I consider the experiment a success, and I can say I could consider Android on my next smartphone, as it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it might be coming from iOS. There are details in my experience that I'm probably forgetting, and I will probably remember after the fact. But I do think I could definitely transition to Android if I wanted it to. And there you go guys, that wraps up my Android challenge. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in my next one. Peace.